Senator Ernst.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Wheeler. I do want to commend you because you have been actively engaged with me, with my staff, and I truly do appreciate the time that you have taken to address some of our concerns. What I'd like to just have you reaffirm for me today, and you know exactly the questions I'm going to ask, reaffirm the commitment that we will see E15 for our summer driving season.
Yes, we're still on schedule for that. It depends on, we're not able to work on it during the government shutdown. I also want to, when I listed some of the states that I visited to talk to farmers, I was obviously in Iowa talking to your farmers, and I'm sorry I didn't mention that.
Yes, no, and I do appreciate that because I know the RFS is very important to our Iowa farmers as well as WOTUS. So thank you very much for working on that. We've had a very good response. I do understand that we are in a government shutdown, and I hope that we can resolve this very soon. Have you been able to take any steps that would mitigate any sort of delays that we might see due to the shutdown for the implementation of E15 year-round?
I'm afraid not on the E15. It's not a court-ordered deadline for us, and it's not considered an emergency. At this point, we can only work on the court-ordered deadlines, the emergencies, or the constitutional authorities, such as assisting my preparation for the confirmation hearing.
Okay, and we know that just this past Monday, the president also reiterated again that he wants to see E15 year-round, so we will hope for the best as we work through the government shutdown. When President Trump was elected, RIN prices were more than $1 at that time, and during 2016 and 2017, we saw over 4 dozen small refinery exemption petitions granted during that time period. In the last 2 years, RIN prices have dramatically dropped, so they are down to 10 cents and lower now. So with the RIN prices being so much lower today than they were 2 years ago, do you agree that this means there is less economic hardship associated with having to purchase those RINs?
The RIN prices are certainly one criteria that is looked at to determine the economic hardship. The analysis for that is conducted by the Department of Energy, and then they send their recommendations over to EPA.
Okay, and in terms addressing then those that are sent over from the DOE, I do understand that they evaluate for that hardship, and I would say with RINs being 1/10 of what they were many years ago, the prices, the DOE evaluates for the hardship and makes that recommendation to you at the EPA. What is the EPA's role in granting or denying a full or partial waiver? Can you describe that process to me?
It's done by our technical team and the Air Office, where they review the information from the Department of Energy and then move forward with a recommendation to the Assistant Administrator for Air, and then on to myself for a recommendation on whether to grant a full, partial, or no relief.
Can you assure me then that you will be examining those exemptions and not giving blanket exemptions as it appears has been done in the past by your predecessor?
Yes, we will be examining each one individually to make sure that each one is warranted individually.
Okay, because certainly we understand the potential for hardship out there, but we don't agree that every exemption that has been given in the past has been due to a hardship. I do want to touch on, I just have 1 minute left. I do want to touch on WOTUS, and again, thank you very much for working on that issue. Our Iowa farmers and ranchers are very, very appreciative of the work that has been done. Can you elaborate on how the replacement rule provides more clarity to our farmers and landowners than the original 2015 rule?
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, we specifically define what is a water of the United States, and we also define what is not. So we're very clear on both what is and what is not. And again, my overarching goal for the WOTUS program is so that the property owner can decide for themselves whether or not they have a water of the U.S. without having to hire outside consultants or attorneys to do that for them.
And I thank you for that, and I will give my time back. Thank you, Mr. Chair.